half-year results, Safaricom have done it, and we'll be having a conversation with the CFO, that is Dilip, to just unpack the numbers, really talking about matters region, Ethiopia, how they're doing, and what next in the next half. Let's catch the conversation right away on the Trading Bell. Welcome. Dilip, it's good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, and welcome to the Trading Bell. Let me first of all start by congratulating you for the stellar performance on the results, and also noting that this is just a few weeks you're celebrating your 24 years. That's an adult now of existence. I just wanted to get your first quick sentiments, first of all, on your celebrations. How is it, and what's really of the many components of celebration stood out for you?
2020 is when we celebrated our 20 years, and I came in around that time.
Around that time.
Yeah, around that time. So you can almost sense that I had a flavor of what does it mean to be a 20-year-old company. We also celebrated 15 years of M-Pesa, and when I'm during last 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think celebration is just a reminder. The purpose why this company exists.
Yeah.
Which is, I would say, it's a celebration of 24 years of transforming of lives of Kenyans, and more importantly to our customers. I think that's what it meant for me when we were celebrating, going out in the streets,
yes,
giving back to the customers and talking to them and see the joy and happiness in their face.
Excellent. Let's get into the numbers now. And I just want to, first of all, before we get into the details of it, get a quick feel from you. When you look at those numbers, looking at your cycle of strategy, which is almost nearing an end, what's your immediate feel of it?
I think if I unpack it, Kenya and then Ethiopia, that will probably give you a flavor, because these two entities are at different stages of their telecommunication life cycle, right? Many analysts and investors used to question us, are you really going, can you really grow? Can you really grow from the base where you already have? Is M-Pesa maturing?
Yeah.
Voice is a mature business. But can you really grow double digit in this market? Actually, my first reaction to this is that yes, we have done it. We have seen that our double digit growth in last financial year, and we have repeated there. And what gives us satisfaction is that it's just not one part of the business. It's the growth is balanced. It's coming across all segments of the business, coming from customers' growth, coming from usage growth. So I think my first reaction is balanced growth.
Yeah.
The strategy that we have set ourselves in 5 years back, which this is the last year of strategy, is I can see the strategy in execution when I see those numbers reflecting in the financials. Yeah. Kenya, and then Ethiopia is, as I said, is another stage of its life cycle. The focus is on how do we gain scale, and gaining scale meaning recruitment of more customers, and to enable more recruitment of customers, you have to have the base stations that we have. As you have seen, we have 3,000 plus base stations in Ethiopia, 6 million plus customers. So it's gaining that scale. And I mentioned about we are now half of, just from a network size, we are half of Kenya.
Wow.
Yeah. So which is not small feat, and remember
just
we
those
came
few years.
2 years actually. If you really look at the GSM business is 2 years.
Yeah.
And M-Pesa we launched only last year. So that way it's a very new company. It's just this is actually the first 2 year of this Ethiopia business.
Yeah.
And very good to see the plan that we have made, despite all the ups and downs. There are challenges that we faced along the way. Very true. But it's coming. It's coming as we are planning. Yeah.
I heard you actually mention that when you looked at the overall group performance, there was a 10% contribution from the Ethiopian market, which was quite impressive. I mean, it's a very short time to start realizing those kind of results, which is commendable. And also tells a lot about the acceptability by your consumers down there. But I wanted to ask you, when you look at it, as you talk about the main drivers of that 10%, I wanted to ask you about sustaining it and vis-a-vis the macro challenges that we have seen, especially in the Ethiopian market. I think you alluded to the fact that there was a serious depreciation of the bill to the dollar. We're still seeing it doing that. So how are you navigating this, and what impact is it hitting, especially on your book there?
Yeah. So, looking back, when you went to Ethiopia, there is one thing that you are very clear.
Yeah.
The purpose, why we are there.
Okay.
Anybody could have been there. Why Safaricom, and what is Safaricom going to do?
Yeah.
The first thing for us was the purpose of transforming the Ethiopian society, Ethiopian people, Ethiopian population.
Yeah.
And by digitizing the economy. That was very clear. Now, how do you digitize economy? Telecommunication is really the foundation and the enabler for the digitization of the society.
Yeah.
Now, we have, if you see the numbers, and very clear that Ethiopia is going in a slightly different way than what you would have seen in other telcos.
Okay.
Most of the telcos came in 20-25 years back, if you see historically. They always started with voice, and then voice and SMS, and then you start seeing data coming in.
Yeah.
But Ethiopia actually has gone into a massive, for us, it's data. 80% of our revenue comes from data. We have the best network when it comes to mobile data.
Wow.
And internet is actually what it actually means for digitization of the society is what internet does to that, right? So I think we were very clear from the beginning. It's a brand new, tech that we are building, brand new network that we're building, IT stack that we're building, to make sure that the customers can get the experience of the best in the world. And we don't have to go into, we are upgrading our network as opposed to saying, we already have an upgraded network that you can start using it. And that's clearly reflected when customers choose us. They clearly know why they're choosing us and they're using it. So you have seen our numbers. Average Kenyans, they are using about 4.1 GB per customer per month. In Ethiopia is using 6.6 GB. The customers are using in Ethiopia 6.6 GB, which means it's all 50% higher than what they're using in Kenya.
Wow.
Yeah. So that speaks about the network that we have built, and which is more importantly the mobile data network, we call that. And that's what customers they're choosing for.
Okay, that's interesting insights, and looks like it's going to be a greater outlook looking forward. Let's move a bit to some of your numbers as well, and I want to touch on the revenue growth. And when I looked at your service revenue, up by 13% year on year to 179 billion, driven by M-Pesa. You also talked about mobile data and fixed data. Just wanted to understand, what are your findings around this, strong performance on these areas, and how do you see this evolving?
So, as I mentioned before, it's an all-round, or as I call it, balanced growth. Before I come to revenue, you see the customers. So we have customers growth across all segments, whether it is voice, whether it is mobile data, whether it is fixed. So customers are growing. And then we see that usage is also growing and leading to a growth in ARPU, right? If you see, it's still, M-Pesa still contributes to the highest incremental growth. 50% of the incremental growth is coming from M-Pesa. And mobile data has picked up very well, 20% growth in mobile data. Usage is growing, customers are growing. And I was talking about this in the presentation. What is driving this growth in mobile data? Smartphone penetration. So we are growing our smartphone penetration, 30% year over year. Then comes the network. So we are everywhere in 4G. So pretty much all our sites are 4G enabled, and also we added 1,500 sites in 5G. So we have created a network which is actually helping and supporting the data growth. Almost 90% of our usage in data is now 4G plus, 4G and 5G together. So we have what we call that. So you have created the access, and then we have the devices. And then you have the content. So I think this trio, that is what actually drives the mobile data. You have access, you have devices, and then you have the content. And content also is a big part of our strategies. We are driving the content strategy also in a way that customers can use more and more. That's what is driving. And M-Pesa, as you know, we have been expanding our offerings to our customers in newer areas, new use cases. And that's what is driving the usage You've seen our numbers on M-Pesa.
Yeah.
The chargeable transactions per customer per month has grown from 29 to 37.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I historically...
I wanted to ask you, that means it's really going down to the 190, or what's your key observation out of it?
Everybody is using M-Pesa. And another thing that we look at is the COVID has actually accelerated the digital adoption, right? You have seen that everywhere.
Absolutely.
But one of the things which is also transformed is the how people make payments, how they use the currency, right?
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, our average transactions per customer per month was 10.
Yeah.
About 10.
Yeah.
And now we are touching 40.
Yeah.
So if you see that in 4 years, so it took almost 15 years, or 12 years, 13 years for M-Pesa to reach to a 10 transactions per customer per month, and it took 4 years to increase it from 10 to 40. That speaks of the new use cases that we have been able to bring in, improving customers' experience, solving customers' needs in the way. So M-Pesa is a fascinating story in the way we are able to grow the traditional business while also keeping an eye on the newer businesses that we have started.
Yeah.
All of them are growing, which also speaks to the future, that there is still a lot of headroom to grow in M-Pesa, because we are adding newer services to our customers.
All right. Let's talk about your digitization and financial inclusion, which is quite significant. And I've seen your partnerships with the NCBAs, the KCBs, APSA, Timiza, and all that. Talking about now the Fuliza as well as an Mshwari. I wanted to ask you, can you share the most impactful examples of these partnerships and how they have evolved to ensure that you have in this financial inclusion on the people? Go ahead.
So, I would say the partnerships are extremely important for not only for what you are doing today, what you have done in the past, and probably more for future, because you cannot do everything by yourselves. So there are things that you will be able to do and you want to do, and there are things that you can do but you don't want to do it because others can do better than you.
Okay.
That's how the partnership comes in.
Okay.
Then comes the layering of technology. Because partnership combined with the technology that can elevate customer experience to a very different level.
Absolutely.
For example, when you talk about, say, lending products, basically the banks are the one who are offering these lending products through our platform. If I simplify, we have a platform where customers can access those products. Historically or traditionally, what you'll go to a place who lends you money, so you do paperwork and all of this.
A lot of it.
So digital lending has revolutionized in the way customer access. Whether it is Fuliza, as you mentioned, which is more of a short-term lending product, in partnership again, where you run out of money and you know that you will have inflow of money in, say, 3 days time from today. So use it for those 3 days. The way it works is you pay a small fee in the beginning when you are accessing that, and you pay within 3 days, it's free.
Absolutely.
So technically you are taking care of your short-term needs of your capital or cash, and then you have long-term, what we call the term loan. So we have different set of products, of course, from our partners. Remember, those are partners who are actually facilitating that. All that you are doing is providing the platform and make it easy for our customers to access that. That's how the technology come in. That's how the partnership come in. And when partnership and technology come together, and you see those magic, So we have about 10 million customers who are using our, the platform for accessing credit products. And I want to talk about the Hustler Fund.
Yes, I wanted you to mention that.
Hustler Fund. Hustler Fund is the government's the affordable. I think there has not been another example is, I don't know whether any other telcos have ever done or any other countries have ever done. In such a short period of time, 24 million customers accessed it. Not that everybody continued, but at any given point of time, 8 to 10 million customers continued to use this. And so when you make it affordable, when you make it easier, I think customers love it. And we have seen that happening for Hustler Fund as well. I think this was one of a great example, is that make it affordable, make it easy for customers. And there are customers who are willing to take advantage of that and grow their business or grow, whatever needs they have to take care of the financial needs.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. And just speaking of still on some of the revenue generations we're seeing, one of the other things I heard you mention about was the mobile data performance, an increase that is quite obvious and is being observed. And I wanted to bring this in a very packed way. One is that I also saw significantly within that half, you increased the speeds for customers. I'm one of the customers, so I noticed that, and thank you for that. But however, we've also seen that there are entries coming in, which could be competition, called as competition. So I wanted to ask you, was this one of the informants, or this is part of your customer-driven strategies? And what are you observing? Because now there's a demand, as you can see from the numbers.
So first of all, thank you for acknowledging that you personally experienced the speed. Yes. It is, I can confirm you that we were already in that journey of revising the whole portfolio of how we want to see our customers. It just happened to be coinciding with what some of the competitive activities that you have seen, right? So it's just a sheer coincidence, but then we are on that journey because you can't overnight do such things that we could do. Doubling speed requires a lot of capacity. Things that you need to upgrade your many of your network infrastructure, and you can't do it even if you want to, which means that we just reconfirm that we are already preparing for that. And we realize that there is a demand from the customers. We take customer demand, customer feedback very, very seriously, and that's how we were planning for it. Now, so this comes actually in the fixed broadband you have seen, which is a combination of fiber to home and also fiber to the business. That's this segment. It's still data, but it's just not mobile. This is fixed data. Now, I will also talk about, you spoke about the competition. What we see in our view, so our presence, so broadband is served through many ways. We have mobile broadband, which is you can access your mobile
on the phone.
Which if you're using a 5G, if you're using our 5G services, you can also say that you are getting an enhanced broadband experience because speed will be better, you get better quality videos. Then we have what you call wireless, but those are fixed wireless. Still using mobile technology, but they are fixed. We call them FWS. We have both for 4G and 5G devices. Then we have what you call the most stable, most reliable, and the most capacity, the fixed broadband, which is fixed to home and the fixed to business. Right. So if you look at the overall broadband portfolio for, we are serving everything. Then if you think about what you're offering, integrated offerings to our customers, bundle offers. So if you buy a fiber to home connection, you can also top it up with a integrated bundling mobile offer, and then you combine that with the content. For example, we have tie up with Showmax. So you also do the DSTV as a part of your bundling. So pretty much you can do everything that you need in the space, from accessing a high speed broadband to consuming actual content, which is also you can use it, very easy to use it. And then of course, when you're not at home, you're going out, that also uses your mobile integrated bundle. So this space is very unique. This space is very different from any other competitive or competition that you speak about, right? Now, the way I want to talk about it is that that's another segment of what we call that broadband through satellite. And that's a very new development, and that's working in many countries. I think Starlink, for example, is available in 100 countries, and Kenya they started in I think sometime in June. So they do have their use cases, and we are at a very initial stage of broadband revolution, as I call it. Given, I'm sure when you go out and you go to Western countries, and every home will have a broadband. I mean, there's no question about it someday, and Kenya will not be different. So we'll have that coming through. All we are saying is that I think there is a place for everyone, and they come as a complement or complementary provider in addition to what you're doing. And also sometimes there could be, we have another operator called AST Mobile. They are also satellite service provider. They come under a bigger group. We have a Vodacom partnership with them, through which we actually tested in Kenya. It works here. So it's just not Starlink. If you're just talking about that, there are many other satellite companies who will be part of either collaboration or complementing and solving our customer problems. But for us, I think we are in a very unique position because we have presence across all broadband solution, combining that with mobile and then also with the content. I think we are quite in a unique position to serve our customers better.
Okay, fair enough. One of the key things is that you operate in an environment that has also had its last half, as you were reporting the results, has had its own macros right here locally. Talking about matters inflation, we have seen there was a lot of volatility as well in the economy then. I think right now we are a bit stabilized, but anyway, your results were based on that end. I'd like to ask how you're adapting to ensure resilience on your operations, especially to protect consumers' spending power.
Yeah, so there are two narratives to this. One narrative is to say that things are easing up. Yeah. But we also have to understand that things are easing up on a higher base.
On a higher base.
Yeah. Okay. So if customer wallets were stressed when it went up, the only way it can be, it can be improved when if it goes down, but not, if you see what you are seeing is a lower inflation, right? But on a higher base. So you will not see that, customers' wallet being, better than it was before, because it's still on a high base. But at least on a positive side, that is not at the level it was before. We see that, and we have seen that when during the flood time, and we had, M-Pesa transactions tells you what's going on in the country, because that's almost like a live, what you can say, barometer of what's going in the economy. And we have seen that transactions going down. We have seen also during demonstrations time, the business getting impacted. So we knew, this is something, you have to live with this. You can't plan for this. So we try and, from our foundation side, we try and make sure that we give back to the society, which is what we are very proud of, the work that we do for example, even flood impacted people. But more importantly, from a product and our offerings perspective, we are very focused, we are very targeted in the way we try to solve customer problems. If there are areas or there are vulnerable segments, so you could almost see that those customers are probably getting more value for money that they're paying. So their shilling is worth more than the shilling of probably someone different. So I think we are very, very careful about when such things happen, because the loyalty is important. If we carry them along, and which is what you have done in the history in the last 24 years, I think business results come in. Ultimately, if you take care of your customers, good days, bad days, they will be with you, and then the business outcome is what business outcome will be.
Okay. Of course, this show has a lot of shareholders who watch, and so the big question must be answered. Dividends. They were happy when they had the number. What do you want to say? What do you want to tell them? Because that was a question that was asked. Is there something coming?
Yeah, and financial results and dividend is very closely related, right?
Yeah.
So for dividend, first of all, we haven't changed our dividend policy for long. It still remains same.
Yeah.
We do have a cycle of interim dividend and a final dividend. So typically, subject to, of course, board approval, the interim dividend comes in around February. So we don't see any change of plan on that. Yeah. So I think that is also likely to be part of that. The only thing is to be aware that the first half of the year, we do have an impact of depreciation of beer, and which you have seen that there is impact, and that of course will be part of the net income.
All right.
But the nothing have changed. We'll still be in the season of interim dividend. Coming up sometime in February.
Good news for them. sustainability. I also noticed you secured 15 billion sustainability-linked loans, and I wanted to ask you, what do you want to drive this, or what's informing this behind it? Yeah.
So if you look at the sustainability market, capital market, there are two ways sustainability capital markets, the people who are driving. We are very big in sustainability.
Absolutely.
One way to say you source capital and you link it with actual spends of the capital that you're sourcing.
Yeah.
And the other way you can source is you're already on a sustainability journey and then you use it as wherever you want to use it, but then you are those capital utilization of those capital is linked to your sustainability target that you're setting. So we have gone to the second part, which is called sustainability linked.
Yeah.
That's why it is called sustainability linked loan.
Yes.
We have been using mostly now for our network upgrades and also solarizing our base stations. We have 30% of our base stations are already solarized. Green energy, which is also a big part of our climate ambition.
Okay.
Then we have our big digital inclusion. You spoke about financial inclusion, but digital inclusion is also one of our key target in our SDG.
Yeah.
And we have a target for that, and also the diversity, you know, the inclusion.
Yeah.
So there are targets that we have set ourselves on those, and it allows us to focus on our sustainability goal as well as access to the capital, which is also linked to that. I think it has worked very well for us.
Yeah.
And if you have noticed, probably have seen our announcement, this is the largest capital ever drawn by any company in East Africa. In terms of sustainability linked.
Absolutely, absolutely. Finally, customer growth and ARPU, you were quite vocal on that. Comparing last year's to this year's 1 month active customers, they have shown growth definitely. And I like the products that you've also given to them from wealth management as well. And I've seen the offerings, especially on the apps and all that. So with such an increase, I think it was 6.4%, and the additional growth that we also seen as well, how are you enhancing customer value and sustaining this trend?
So again, coming back to the story of balanced growth, and also reconfirming that there is still opportunity to grow customers, which is what we have demonstrated. The way I want to support our customer offerings is we have different segments, but also those segments are all interlinked, because end of the day, it's one customers who are using it. Either they are using somebody who is using a home broadband, a fixed fiber to home. They are also using M-Pesa, and they are also using the mobile. So our ability to personalize through big data analytics is what the capability that we have built over a period of time. It's been a fantastic 2 years journey. The capability that we have built in knowing what would be your preference. So it's not a carpet bombing, like you give everybody everything because you may not like it. If you don't, we know that whether you'll use a particular bundle offer or not, and that's what we customize it for you. I think the big data and analytics, which is what is fueling our customer value management proposition, which is very targeted and allowing customers the flexibility of even choosing their own bundle, that how much data you want, how much voice you want, how many messages you want to buy. That flexibility is what is actually giving the customers the freedom to decide what they want to buy, when they want to buy, how they want to pay, and when they want to pay. I think if you combine that with all of this and what they use those for, this is the content I mentioned about before, is what, as I said, what makes us unique. And I think that's what is the love of the customers, which gets reflected in the way they use more. And this is in the context of we are optimizing our prices. And if you have seen that our prices are coming down over a period of time, which was very normal because you are getting into more and more customers, and you also want to see that the marginal customers, those services are affordable. We are not a premium service provider. We are a mass service provider. Everybody must consume this, and everybody, when they have to consume, you have to make it affordable. And that journey is also helping. So customers who uses 50 megabytes in 1 month.
Yeah.
You see that they are propensity to use, they can use actually 75 megabits. So you probably charge a little bit more money, but then they get more resources. And that's how you see the usage growing, and that's how what is driving ARPU. And of course with the customer growth, and that's what drives the revenue growth, what you have seen.
I want to close with this. It's a two-part one. I think it's matters to do with CapEx. I think you revised it last year because of the depreciating shilling. You also still said it's still a focus this year. I don't know what your comment will be on that, and also touch on insurance. I had a mention of that, and you might be shaking some feathers out there when they hear that you also come in there. So I don't know, what's your plan on that?
So coming to CapEx, the CapEx, we are very clear about that our responsibility to our customers in making sure that we are reliable and available all the time, and that's what drives our the CapEx spend that we do. So there is a network that we maintain, and then we also add upgrades and newer sites that we build. You've seen that 1,500 5G sites have come in. We are also upgrading our financial services M-Pesa platform. So that's happening this financial year. You'll also see a major investment coming. This is a major upgrade after a long time, with many more features coming in. In this the most advanced platform that you're building in. So I think to that extent, the CapEx is always towards to make sure that customer experience what they expect from Safaricom as a company, which has always been on that journey of improving.
And is that also touching on your costs? Because I noticed there was a slight increment.
Yeah, so if you have seen that the cost growth is also majorly driven by the network cost. And last year we had an issue on, major issue on the fuel price going up, the electricity price, you have seen that, major going up. But fortunately this year the prices are more stable, but it's the volume which is driving the growth in energy cost. So yes, I think the currency is a very what you call very important parameters in the way the costs show up or the CapEx show up. I would say we managed it well in the most difficult times, and I'm very confident with what we have seen so far in the first half. We'll continue to be resilient in the second half of the year, and to come out with a performance which we are all proud of for the full year.
And the new kid on the block, the insurance?
So insurance on, we haven't spoken a lot about insurance, but although I think in the past we spoke about our, credit products which we partner with the banks have been there for long. So we had term loan and those, the short-term overdraft products, Fuliza for long term. Then we spoke about wealth management, and we also spoke about our interest in insurance. But one thing for sure, as a company whose purpose is to transform lives, we always go into the area where the problem, the customer problem exists. Either they are not served or they are underserved. So that gives us an opportunity to solve a customer problem. Insurance is a very new and it's very small. I mean, we just launched it, and what we are using it currently is for insuring our own devices. And remember, devices are a very important part of driving the digital inclusion. If you don't have smartphone, you cannot access internet, and if you cannot access internet, you cannot enjoy the digital, the experience of digital. So we have to make sure that one of the problems that we face, the customers lose their devices, and of course it's a lot of money. So we wanted to start with that, and I mentioned about 137,000 customers have already taken it. So yes, we do have that ambition. Also, we've spoken about it before. But nothing to worry about. That nobody needs to worry about this. As you always say that we are solving problems. We are serving customers, either who are not served or they're underserved.
Dilip, it's always a pleasure to have you on the Trading Bell.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maina. Thank you so much for having me here.
There you have it, the Trading Bell and Safaricom, really optimistic, evolving innovations. This is the hub. Thank you so much for your time. And those are the numbers. I leave you now with the markets.